This episode contains discussion of suicide. If this raises any issues for you, support is available through the links and phone numbers in the show notes.
This podcast was recorded and produced on Gadigal land.
We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and pay our respect to elders past and present.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
This is my final MAFS related interview.
Are they talking about me? She's like, yep.
It was Australia's reaction. It's an
This is an exclusive.
caused a lot of drama and it never got aired.
It just went nuts.
Hello and welcome back to Reality. I'm Selina.
And I'm Tahnee, and today we have a very exciting guest.
We have Josh Fox, who runs the MAFS Funny podcast. We are so excited to chat with him today.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. This feels weird.
I know, how does it feel to be you're the one being interviewed and interrogated?
Yeah, I feel a bit uncomfortable. I'm usually, because I met both of you when you were filming by just chasing you down the streets.
Well, I was trying to think of when I met you, and I can't remember what it was, but you were showing me a photo of Harry Styles or something. I was walking with my husband from the show, and I can't remember, it was something, and you were like, something about Harry Styles, and I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah, because we bonded over that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh,
One Direction there. Well, one of the reasons why I recognized Josh in the first place, so I was a big 1D girly, still am, and I lived in the UK at prime One Direction time, and I stumbled across Josh's YouTube channel, which doesn't
I tried to
exist
live
anymore.
that in England.
I've been through the YouTube phase as well. But yeah, that's how I remembered you. And you used to do like a series where you'd like get a picture with all like you literally got a photo with every single person I want to meet in my whole life. Wow. And then I saw you from there, and it was interesting then seeing you move to Australia and your life, how it transitioned from that to now also running like the most successful MAFS like fan account, like little fans content.
It's been
thing.
quite the journey.
But very excited to have you on and discuss all that.
Now, I find it fascinating how you are always at every MAFS wedding location. How do you find out where we are?
See, everybody asks that and thinks I've got all these sources.
Yes.
But the real answer is quite boring.
Oh, tell us.
Every year, the cruisers use the same locations. So every year we
Yeah,
know
they
it's going to
do.
be end of July, August, wedding season.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym in the city, and the amount of times I walk through the city and see a limousine
Yes.
and go, oh, well, it's a Monday afternoon, who's getting married? And then you see a GoPro attached, oh, it's MAFS.
You did this because I think my husband was the first one to be leaked, and it's good I didn't have my phone at the time because they took my phone off me. But you literally like, I'm just walking down the street, there's a limousine, maybe this is MAFS, and then you get the content of him walking out of the hotel, and I remember the famous line was like, good luck, you're going to need it.
Yeah, and then the producer shouted, you've ruined my shot or something, and had a go at me. But
which I didn't even use anyway.
well, he wasn't mic'd up, he was walking down the street, and then that did millions of views because everyone was laughing at the producer.
Yeah, no, that was like I really like, I feel like things really like skyrocketed from there because that was like super viral. And we're like, oh, this is where it begins. Because you have an idea of going into MAFS, what it's going to be like. And I think, Josh and like Ali, you guys add to that because it's like, you're coming up to us, you're taking content, and it's like, oh, okay, this is what it's going to be like, which it's not like that forever. But it's an interesting taste because you're like, oh, this is like, I'm not used to this. It's quite intense. When did you guys first meet?
Oh, we met way after like our season aired.
Because I don't think I've seen you much during filming.
Yeah, because ours was shot in COVID, so that's why I don't recall
I
like
wasn't
you
doing
at
much
our
that year.
weddings, and our wedding was out in Whoop Whoop anyway.
I'm not travelling far for these
Yeah,
weddings.
exactly. Yeah.
In a city at
You
best.
keep it
There, that's fair. So what, you literally just follow us, like you just see the limo out the front of Sky Suites and you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah, I
just going
kid
to
you
follow
not,
them.
this past season, Elliot and Lauren's wedding,
Yes.
that was at the State Theatre in
Yeah.
Sydney.
Yes.
I'd been on a date in the city, a first date.
Stop.
We were walking through, going to another bar, and I said to the guy, shit, do you mind if we just follow this limo for 5 minutes? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'll tell you in a minute.
Stop it
Get
right
to the
now.
State Theatre, then it says like Elliot and Lauren in the lights. So I'm like, obviously it's a wedding.
Correct, yeah.
I see some of the crew I recognise.
they're the
Then I
same
have to
guys.
quickly explain to this guy who's never watched Married at First Sight what we're doing. Then he agrees to
Green
stand with
flag.
me, and I say it will be 5-10 minutes, an hour and a half.
Oh.
And then as Elliot and Lauren start to come out, I say, do you mind just filming me? We never,
I
had,
am
we
dead.
never had a second date.
Oh, shame.
Aw,
Yeah.
he's lost.
Video went viral though, so I did great.
It's
Yeah.
not.
It
You
did.
got to look at the silver lining of it.
I do wonder, because you said to Elliot, like, you know, because Lauren was matched. Well, she was with Jono originally.
Yes.
And you said, what did you say to him?
I said, you're much better looking than her ex, Jono, from last season.
Yes.
Then he looked very confused.
Yes.
Producers gave me the dirtiest look
Yes.
you've ever seen.
Yes.
And then I planted that seed of doubt
did.
from the very first night. And
Yep.
then 2
Triggered
days
it.
later, off he
Honestly.
went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So do
because
you-
you've had like that's like I feel like you've had roles in some of the storylines, and like I feel like there's been some shots of you like in like the
Oh, I've
actual.
been on every
so
season
many
at some point.
Yeah, literally.
Usually just following a car.
What's
Yeah.
been like the funniest thing out of I guess all your time working like across the show? What's been like the funniest thing that you've had involvement in?
My favourite bit was, do you remember the grand reunion a few years ago?
Yes. Can they do that again? Like
That would
Yes,
be great
they
if
need
they
to
did.
bring
But
that
like the
then,
back.
last 3 seasons have been pretty hectic.
Yep.
Where's the grand reunion? We're probably not going to get asked.
and then NASA, who obviously everyone dislikes. But everyone was speaking to me before, like I had like Jess Power, should I do it? Everyone was saying, should I do it? As if I'm the voice of
Yeah.
reason.
Oh, yeah.
Then I was like, yeah, go do it. But then NASA really didn't want to. He was going to pull out. Then I was like,
Oh, he was
you kind
so
of have to because you're like,
the instigator.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but everyone's just going to have a go at me. So I said, the second that happens, because we all know it's going to happen at some point in that dinner, when they all stand up against you, throw someone on the floor, stand up, and storm out. And in his pocket, he had a script that I'd printed for him.
No.
And then you'll recall a shot of him running down the hallway, and he says something like, I'm too famous for this. I don't need this.
Yes.
I'm the Princess Diana of MAFS. I'm the
Yes,
people's
I remember
celebrity.
that. Yes.
That was not
me,
you.
word for word.
Stop. Really?
so good.
And then when he left, then Ali picked him up, and then NASA
Yeah.
phones me from the car. Like, I did it. I did the script.
He is such an interesting character,
Yeah,
that
he
guy.
really is.
He
Yeah.
is. So I don't know, maybe this was you that leaked this information, but I remember we were filming, like, I think it was like final dates. No, it was homestays. And we were in Bondi and we were filming at Wayside
you were at the
Chapel.
op shop.
Yes, the op shop.
NASA
So we,
messaged me that
I
day
remember
saying,
that.
Yes.
there's a new MAFS couple.
Yes.
Because he just goes around Bondi. He spotted you. Then I popped over, just missed you.
yeah, he was literally like, and being so weird and like getting photos of us in the background, then posted it to like MAFS Uncensored. I'm like, dude, ruining storylines as per.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. I was like, how do like people know information? I always like wonder like what is going on. But that, yeah. And then we like, I think we just missed you at that time when we were trying to be like not talk to media and like
Yeah.
anyone. There's like, I feel like there's a phase you go through in MAFS, and you obviously experience this like knowing the cast, where you just like get ignored by people because you're
Yes.
being told not to like speak,
Engage,
and then like kind of breaking the walls down.
But that's so
slowly.
detrimental to the cast because those first videos are the first time the public meet any of you. And my videos
yeah.
get millions of views, and then everyone just looks rude because I'm just
Yeah.
like, hey, welcome to
Totally.
the
Yeah, yeah,
experiment.
yeah.
And like,
They're like,
nothing.
Nothing.
And then the fans just go, who do these people think there are?
Yeah.
And then we're
And
like,
it's
well,
valid.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it is valid. Like I look back and it's like, oh, like that does look bad. But then knowing what
Yeah.
you've been told, it's like, oh, I get what they're trying
What
to do.
fans don't realize is at the start of the season, you're kind of told, stay away from Josh, stay away from Ali.
Yeah.
Specifically by name.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Josh meeting.
Yeah.
But I get that. But I think it's because over time you realize we're not the enemy. We kind of do have your best interest. We have a job to do.
Yeah,
But I've
exactly.
never wanted to screw you guys over. Like ultimately, I just want content, and then
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
towards
Whereas
the end
they
of
want
the season.
content and just screw over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it takes you guys until the end of the season maybe to realize that.
Yeah.
And by that point, I've
Yeah.
got 10 videos of you all ignoring me looking rude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So
Speaking of content, you run the MAFS Funny page,
Yep.
and then you also have the podcast for that as well.
yes,
How has the response been with that?
the podcast has been great.
Yeah.
I wish I did it sooner.
Yeah.
Well done, by
Thank
the way.
you.
Congrats.
Yeah, I think because I've worked on Kyle and Jackie O the last couple of years, so I kind of
Yes.
got into radio and broadcast, and then I left there over Christmas,
Yep.
and then I was like, oh, I should do a podcast now.
Yeah.
And then I think I decided to do it like a week before,
Yeah.
thinking nothing would come of it, and then like within a week, like 300,000 views,
Huge.
listens. I was like, oh shit, this is like a job now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it takes on a
amazing.
different approach because I think there's a lot of stuff out there around maths, specifically this year. Like it's really triggered a lot of conversations and good and bad ones, I would say.
Yep.
And I think the format works quite nicely because it's still bringing that humor, but then you've also taken on the more maths serious, right? Maths serious, where you're kind of looking more into the production, the kind of effects, after effects and during effects it's had on cast. Talk us through, I guess, thoughts on that transition and kind of what, I guess, triggered you to take that angle, whereas it's always been like really lighthearted and funny, which we all love, but I think people are still enjoying this side as well.
You know what I think it is? I think every year Channel 9 love to create villains. They love us as the media to go after them, chase them down, videos, shouting questions, because it's a pantomime. And as bad as this is to say, those villains are so disposable. I imagine you two, to an extent, felt disposable to Channel 9, because once it ends, like, okay, goodbye, new cast, new season.
Yeah.
So then I thought this year, well, I could do that again, and I've done it to an extent. You know, I'm still covering the storylines, but let's look at the bigger picture. And when we talk about stars of this show, who's the biggest one? John Aiken, 10 seasons. He's been there since day one. Literally every single episode.
Has he been there day one?
Yeah, he was the only
The OG.
judge to remain. I say judge.
Yeah,
Don't know what he's
yeah.
judging.
What- yeah.
But he's been there since season 1.
Yeah, wow.
So then I did that video where I thought, well, I should ask him questions. Does he feel ethically and morally compromised? Which I thought was reasonable.
Yeah.
And do you remember,
He's-
was Dr. Tricia, was she your seasons?
No,
No,
she
she was
was,
just
I think, a
before.
couple, quite a few before,
quite a
actually.
few, yeah.
Oh yeah, because her last one was season 7. But when she left, Channel 9 put out a press release saying, you know, she's going to focus on her writing and studies. And then a week later, she did a radio interview going, no, it's because I felt ethically compromised. I couldn't do this anymore. I didn't agree with what was happening. I didn't agree with how it changed.
Yeah.
So then I started to wonder the last few months, well, John and Mel have stayed all these years since then. She was their colleague.
Yeah.
They had the same job, so do they feel the same?
Yeah.
And then God forbid you ask that to John Aiken and he'll send you a legal letter.
Was it? Oh, I thought it was Channel 9.
Oh, Channel 9 on behalf of John said he felt threatened, intimidated,
Uncomfortable.
feared for his safety.
Yeah, that
Which
was
is crazy when you watch the
Which
video
is
and he's laughing
crazy.
at me and
Yeah.
saying,
He
what
was
else should
taking
I thought it was
photos of
jokes. I thought
Yeah,
it was
so
funny.
yeah,
It was
it is.
funny. I actually thought it was like funny. And it's also like, I feel really conflicted, and I feel like I've always had like an unpopular opinion of, I just don't have this like strong feeling towards the experts, because I think they're like, they're the fall guys, right? Whereas I think, and it's clear in the contract as well, the expert whatever specialist service they're giving is not like, it's entertainment purposes, right? It's not what you would go see a normal psychologist or a normal whatever sexologist, I imagine. you wouldn't have those conversations, and you wouldn't have, you'd probably be given actual advice and
Yes.
probably having a different experience. So I think obviously that's not, the viewers don't know that. They're assuming that this is what it's like, when therapy is actually not like that. And when you're going to these psychology services, it's a very different experience. So I think for me, I'm sure their professional services with their private clients would be very different to the experience where.
But did they
seeing
have
on
private clients anymore? Because who would
maybe
who would
Don't-
pay for John to help your relationship? That's why I said to him, do you and your wife follow these things? Do you go spend a few days in bed with someone else?
Yeah, I just don't understand that, the justification. Because what's the justification? It's feedback week, right? The spending some time with someone else. That's how they picture it.
I lose track
It's
of
like,
how
is
they
that,
try to.
Yeah.
Is that really? Let's just call it what it is. It's drama. It's TV. Like speaking of that, Temptation Week this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
The whole going on other dates. See, I like that because it's like, yeah, okay, temptation. That is, I can see where that would take place in the real world. I think that's probably better than the whole feedback, staying with another person for 3 nights.
I think
Yeah,
it's
well, I
just,
think
I
it's
think
like-
it's messed up to have it just before final vows.
But that's drama. Like, I'm about it. Like,
But
I'm
then-
about it.
But then how do you go against the premise of the show? How can they still
this is
say
what I
we're
mean.
experts?
Well, this is-
Because they've got,
Exactly.
these couples have finally made it to the end.
Yeah.
The end is in sight. And then they go, oh, no.
Here you go.
Here's a backup
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, I personally like the old MAFS format.
Yeah.
I just think that they've pushed it too far.
Yes.
The last couple of years.
Well, that's I think, and that kind of correlates with Trish leaving, because I
Yeah.
think from that time the show changed, the format changed, it became really more dramatic, and it had those
Yeah.
like really like punchy storylines, those really like hectic stuff,
Yep.
and it was really when she left.
I think if long-term viewers of the show will notice, and my research has all shown this, it was season 7 where everything changed.
Yeah.
Season
What
6,
season's that again? That was
Haley Vernon,
yes,
Stacey
and like the
Hampton.
toothbrush thing.
Yeah, and do you remember the year before I think it was so big with Jess Power, Ines,
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Cyrell, and then
Yeah.
it got to season 7 and they're like, how can we
Crank it up.
beat that? And then they
Yeah.
didn't, and it just went to a new extreme where most of the cast who have suffered like mentally all come from season 7.
Yeah, that's so
It's
true.
really interesting, because I feel like every year I'm like, well, even my experience, because I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like, it's not getting any more intense than this. Like, nothing's beating this. The next year it does.
Yep.
Like, it progressively getting worse and worse. And where's the line going to be drawn? Like, what's going to happen next?
But
Like,
we're so far past the line.
like, do you know what I mean? Like, where is it going?
Yeah.
Where does it go from here? Like, we're going to tackle things like DV, not really address it properly, which I think it's hard because I feel like these topics are very important to be showcasing and discussing properly. For example, I don't know if you guys have seen like Adolescence, the new Netflix series. Beautiful, like horrible to watch, but really unpacks like that topic very well and shows it in like a distressing light, but it's like talking about a wider issue and unpacking it. Whereas I feel like topics this year have been missed opportunities, like the Jake like racist comments, the punching the wall. These are stuff that I feel like in Australian society would be really impactful to like let's just dive into it a bit more. Like, these things happen. Okay, we're going to get him some help. What does that look like? Like, what are we doing here?
With the punch, they had such an opportunity to educate, not just Australia, because this show's international.
Totally.
And they didn't. And like they say, oh, we stopped him drinking. He went to therapy. The next episode, he was on holiday in Byron Bay with everyone. Like, there was no punishment.
Yeah.
And like, to me, I spoke to Elliot about this, and Elliot says he thinks they did the right thing by keeping him on the show, because if they kicked him off, him and Karina were still together, they would have gone back to Perth together as a couple, and there's no one there watching out for her. Which I kind of get to an extent, but they should have made a real example, shown the therapy, shown them couples counseling, like shown that journey.
100%. I would have loved to see that. Like,
same.
if this does happen to you, let's not just like write off people. Like, I'm not making any excuses of behavior. It's unacceptable. But okay, if that happens, okay, it's the first time he's ever done it. What do you do? Like, if I'm watching it and like my boyfriend's done that, what can I be like, hey, can we get you into this treatment or this service? Like, that's the missed opportunity, because like there's probably women out there sitting there watching it that's happened to them, and they're like, fuck, okay, so it's just
and there's probably men who have done that, and they'll see that Paul was fine, and they'll go to the girlfriend,
exactly right.
Oh, see, it's not even a big deal. Look,
yeah,
and that's the issue.
Bad.
Yeah. Do you think with everything that's happened, there will ever be an end to MAFS? Or do you think it just breaks in so many clicks and views and money that it's like, it's just going to keep going?
I don't think it will ever end until the viewers stop watching it.
Yeah.
And ratings are knocked down
agree.
this year.
I feel like we've seen, like in the UK specifically, a lot of people end their lives through experiences on reality TV, like so many just from the Love Island franchise alone, and that you'd hate for this to happen. But I feel like it takes something really serious like that to happen to evoke any sort of change, because at the moment people are obviously online saying how poorly the treatment is, saying that their lives have been, they're over, whatever. But no one really cares, right? Like, it's like, what does it take? And this is where I'm like, where does it end? Where's the line, which we've crossed so
and that's
far?
with my podcast, The Investigation, and people keep saying, stop being a spoilsport, stop trying to stop MAFS, and I'm not. I'm almost saying, if you don't make these changes behind the scenes production, there will be no season, because someone trigger warning, but unfortunately they will take their own lives. And I'd say 90% of former cast members I speak to all say that is going to happen. And when I worked as a tabloid journalist in the UK, I was there. I flew to Love Island to interview Carol M. Flack.
Yeah,
and I could see when I did that season, like, she was not in the right headspace to be the star of the biggest show. And then so many people around her would just ignore these cries for help because, you know, she's making so much money. Yeah. And 2 years after that, she took her own life. Yeah. Same with several former Love Islanders. And it's like, that will happen here. And even, I think it was 2 years ago, Charlie Newling from The Bachelorette Australia, he took his own life.
And I think you made some comments about it actually being associated with the experience from the show. Was it?
Yeah, I spoke to a lot of his former cast members, and they all said he never should have been cast in the first place. Yeah, he'd been through a lot in his life, and even in the mansion when they were filming, he was still struggling with things. Yeah, wow. And that's in my investigation. I look at that a lot, and in the next episode, I look at how so many people have struggled afterwards. And I found 4 different examples of 4 former cast members who, prior to appearing on MAFS, have admitted to trying to end their own lives through, like, you know, the various childhood abuse or whatever. Of course, and this is our public record, so I don't like bringing it up and naming them, but like, it's all on Google. But to me, if you've been in that dark of a place, I don't think you ever should then be on a show like this.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think, and this is where I question the casting process and the, I guess, checklist and stuff of the people they allow on the show, because I feel like a lot of this stuff is made aware of, whether it's, you know, DV allegations, whether it's mental health, whether it's whatever it is. And it's like, you do the psych eval. What are they looking at that evaluation? Are they looking if you're maybe a bit slant to one side that, yes, they're perfect for it? I do question if they're intentionally getting people that, I don't know, because I have spoken to some casts that I know and they would recount their traumas, right, would be brought up in front of the experts, in front of Voxies. They would be emotional off the back of that, and then that would be edited to something that didn't have anything to do with what was brought up and stuff like that. I'm like, I felt like they would use these things against you sometimes.
100%.
I would be I never really shared stuff because I just was like, no, they're not knowing that. Like,
Clever.
I was like,
Yeah.
no. Because even like when I shared like my parents getting a divorce and the circumstances around that, they like kept bringing it up and kept asking about it. I was like, guys, I've made it clear I'm not speaking about my parents. This is about me.
Yep.
I'm not adding them into like they didn't sign up to be brought in the storyline. Like I'm not okay with that. But yeah, I question how they choose people and then them using stuff, like you said, against them.
Well, on the psych evaluation, I spoke to a former contestant of Big Brother recently from way back in the day. And she admits she was a bit unstable and probably shouldn't have been cast. And then she spoke to a producer afterwards and went, you know, what do you have to do to pass that psych test? And then the producer apparently laughed and says, what makes you think you have to pass it?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
This is what it's like.
And that's what Dr. Tricia said in previous interviews. She said her last season, season 7, there was someone on there she believed should never have been cast. She raised this concern in her pre-season assessment.
Wow.
That was ignored. They were then cast mid-season. Dr. Tricia said that person needs to be removed. They are not coping. The person was eventually removed, sent home. And that person in a podcast with the ABC a year later said she got home, had a mental breakdown and tried to end her own life.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really like people try and outweigh what the potential slight possibility of what MAFS can do for them based on like a handful of people that have become really successful off the show and then maybe not think about all of the other potential outcomes that are quite more probable. And it's really, it's like they kind of reel you in that way.
Well,
so
everyone
it's
thinks it won't happen to me.
100%.
I know.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's like you absolutely, I felt that way. And I was like, I feel like I'm a good person. Like I'm not, you know. And it's only because other people are more unhinged, honestly.
I want to know, because you've launched this investigation into MAFS, like what's your goal that you want out of this investigation?
My end goal is just Endemol Shine, the production company, to actually listen to what all the viewers are saying and actually go, okay, maybe behind the scenes we should hire someone who's here full time to look out for these people. Maybe we shouldn't cross this line or push this hard and just safeguard you guys better.
Yeah, I think
They
that's
do though.
No, babe. I think that
You don't
I think the
reckon?
people that work, like the psychologists and stuff, I don't trust that, because from my experience, I had told stuff to the psychologist they assigned me with, and I know that was repeated to production, and that's like completely goes against
That didn't happen on my season.
licenses and stuff. And I feel like it should be a third party that's like not employed by Endemol, not employed by Channel 9, like almost like contract. I don't know how it would work, but it's. Yeah, obviously they're going to have the interest of who's giving them the money at the end of the day, right? So they're going to be like, hey, this person feels XYZ about this situation, which is what I did. And then the next day I got a call about that situation. It was resolved. So I'm just drawing conclusions that information was shared. And I just think that's not right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Did you have the wash? Was that your page as well? Or what was your involvement with that?
It was one of my friends launched it and then I just did content or cross-posted it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so that was a website to start with, but then it was hard to maintain because I don't think there's not like enough content year round.
Looking back now, because you've been following MAFS for ages now, like, do you feel any remorse in like the trolling and the like posts that you do?
Yeah, because when I started that meme page, that was the Jessica Power season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Jess became a great friend and she was like the person who made that page big because she was the hated one that year.
She's just an icon.
But she'd say to me like, oh, you should do this picture of my lips, you know, after lip filler next to it like a fish. So I'd do that with her consent, but then it's setting this precedent like, let's mock appearances. And like that first year I would get carried away because the likes are rolling in. You've gone from 100 followers to 10,000. And then it was growing and growing. But then over time I was like, actually, I have quite a lot of influence here. And then it kind of peaked with Olivia Fraser, I think.
Yes.
And then I personally apologized to her and I've apologized to other people and said, if I've ever contributed to like your discomfort, then I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay, that's really good to know because personally, I felt, because I'm huge on manners, I never really felt like you gave me the time and day. Only
Okay.
because I never came out as a villain
Yep.
or someone with massive following. I didn't come off the show with a partner either. So I kind of felt like the small handful of times I saw you, you just kind of never gave me the time and day. So then when I saw you launch this podcast and then, you know, do this investigation, I was like, what's this guy's motive? Because I'm like, you seem to care about the MAFS cast, but I'm like, also, you've never given me the time and day.
You know, the full honesty of that is prior to this year, I've always had day jobs on radio, in media.
Yeah.
There was one season where I was the manager of an Amazon warehouse because I quit the media.
Wow.
So, like, that's always been my, like...
That is so random.
yeah, I was like, I'm over the media.
yeah.
So I was laughing about that earlier.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to keep post or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like ticking a box. Okay, well, everyone's liking or hating this one. And then you get people like Ali who love Ali.
Yeah.
And he befriends everyone. And
Yeah.
But that's kind of because his day job is reliant on that. When this is more a hobby for me,
Yes.
it was more, and this sounds bad, but I never really want to become that close friends with the MAFS people because
Yeah.
I feel like it takes over your life.
Yeah.
And I've made
yeah.
that mistake in the UK of befriending talent, and then you almost become impartial or biased with your how you're covering things.
Yeah.
So I always try to create a barrier.
Yeah.
And then if you've not
okay.
got all this mad drama and stuff, then
Yeah.
I'm kind of just staying back and focusing on whoever
Okay.
is getting that engagement.
Well,
So
I think it's interesting because
Yeah.
you see, it would be hard, say, being like you're friends with someone. There's a story that's come through that you're going to have to publish, and it doesn't make them look very good.
That's it.
What, like, I would be like, fuck, like, what am I going
Yeah.
to do? So I kind of
Yeah.
get that from that
and
perspective.
that's already happening this season since I started the podcast.
Yeah,
Because obviously I've had to be more,
impartial.
like
Yeah.
just meeting the
Fair.
cast one by
Yeah.
one. And then when there's a bad story, I'm like, oh shit, but like I've kind of got a good thing
the
with that
trust.
person and like we're like friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know
yeah.
Ali struggles with that at Daily Mail because
yeah,
he's got
yeah.
his job as a journalist, but
I
then
know.
he's hanging
He
out
has
with
a
everyone and it's
relationship.
like, where's that
Yeah.
line? So I've tried to
That's true.
stay back.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just like,
But I'm sorry if you felt like I was purposely
I'm just
ignoring
keeping
you.
it real here. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I
like,
appreciate
I'm like,
that.
you seem to be nice to everyone else because, like, obviously, I came from Olivia's season, and that's so good that you apologized to her. Like every single time I see you guys together, you're like really close. I'm close with Carolina now. And I'm like, hello, congrats on your book and your podcast. And you're like, yeah. And I'm like,
No, because I recently seen you at Carolina's birthday.
yes.
And that was the most horrifically awkward.
No, stop.
No, because what it was, I was
Wait
in,
for it.
I was
No,
in
don't.
Bondi drinking with a close friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
My friend Liam, and then my housemate texts me saying, "Are you where I think you are?" Then I'm like, "What you on about?" And then he didn't text back, but I have my housemate on Find My iPhone.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Is he nearby?" And he wasn't. He was at home. I was like, "What is Ryan talking about?" And then the only other person I have on Find My iPhone is Olivia. Randomly, she added me. I think we're going on a night out trying to find each other.
Yeah.
And then she was 2 bars over, so I was like, "Oh, is he talking about Olivia?" Then I said to my friend Liam, "Oh, Olivia's 2 places over. Let's go say hello." So then I go upstairs and I only see Olivia at a table full of people. And you know when you just register the person, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, hey, Liv."
Yeah.
I go to
Yes.
give her a hug and then like I look around and you're there,
Yeah.
Carolina, there's a few other people and everyone's looking at me like I've just killed somebody. It was so bizarre. And then there's a guy who I thought was Carolina's new boyfriend who I don't know. He was next to Olivia but had his back to me.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of like, "Oh, hey, mate," without looking because I'm just thinking, why is everyone looking at me like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just focused on Olivia. He's like, "Oh, hey, Josh, hi." Then I'm like, what is going on here? Then my friend Liam, who's
Stop.
tagged along, went, "Oh, hey." I'm not going to say the name,
Yeah,
but that
yeah.
guy was my ex-boyfriend who was sat there with his back to
Yeah.
me. And I hadn't seen him in like 9 months.
So awkward.
Yeah. And
Oh
I
my God,
didn't.
that's my nightmare.
It's not like I didn't not recognize him, but I
You
was
weren't
just
paying attention.
Yeah.
looking, why is everyone looking at me like this, and focused on the one person. I suppose I went there to see Olivia because she
Yeah.
was on Find My iPhone, and then it was just awkward, so I left
That was very
quite
awkward that
quickly.
day.
So bring it back to this season, and obviously we've got Temptation Week this week. What's your thoughts on that as a new? Obviously, that's a brand new world first thing that they've done. What's your
Challenge.
thoughts on that, and what's your thoughts on the people that have took the bait with
Yeah.
the task?
Firstly, I think it's a great challenge. I
Yeah.
think it's great reality TV.
Yeah.
I think maybe when Mel was trying to justify it, they should just go, "Look, we want a final twist. Don't try spin
Yeah.
it as if it's a positive.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
we know
It's a
what
twist,
you're
it's
doing here.
drama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just embarrassing
Yeah.
when you try to say this is
Yeah.
for the greater good.
Yeah.
I just think anyone who agreed to do it is stupid. Like, why would you? It's being broadcast on, like, Paul doing it. What did you think? He just met Karina's strict religious family.
Yeah.
He'd been saying how much he's into her, and then he's like, I was just curious.
Oh,
what did you think was going to happen?
What do you mean you're curious?
The fumbling, I was just curious and I saw her and she was blonde and
it was talking so badly about her. I was
bad.
like, bro, you're just making it worse.
Yeah.
Just literally, if you say, I'm stupid, like, don't stop justifying
And it was literally because he wasn't attracted to the new girl.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
honestly, if she
And he
was
goes,
like
oh,
Kim
Karina,
K 2.0.
as soon as I seen her, I was thinking of you.
Yes.
And no, you weren't.
Come on,
That was
dude.
just embarrassing.
That was
so
crazy.
crazy.
Oh.
Who? Because we'll watch that tonight. Who? So you got Adrian and Afina left.
Yep.
Surely Adrian's doing it. I'm putting money on that he's doing it.
Well, did you read Ali's article in Daily Mail?
Not yet.
No, don't.
Adrian is now apparently still chatting with that girl. They're always liking each other's posts and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's rumours there.
I did
Stop it
hear
right
that
now.
one of the grooms was staying in touch with one of the intruders.
Adrian.
So it's Adrian.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Ew. Okay,
Right.
interesting.
And then Jamie, I suppose this episode will air
oh,
tonight.
surely they both do it.
I'm not sure about Dave, but from what I've read, is Jamie agrees to, but the guy stands her up.
Wow.
Oh, that's hell.
That's
Oh, no.
awkward.
Have you guys ever been stood up on a date before?
Uh,
I've
No.
never, thank God.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. I've been
Oh, no,
ghosted
once
pre-date, but
I
not
went-
stood up.
I went to meet a guy at Grindr once, and I get to his house and I knocked on the door, and then I hit him, walk to the door, look through
Yeah.
the peephole, and just not answered the door.
Shut up.
Then I opened Grindr and he just blocked me.
Stop.
Yeah,
Are you
so-
serious?
That was technically, yeah, I suppose I was stood up, and that was even
That's bad.
worse than
Wait,
in a bar.
speaking of Grindr, let's talk about your book.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yes,
It's called What You Into.
It just triggered my memory. Yeah, talk us about that and how that
Yep.
came about, because I think that is fucking awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, talk me through the whole thing. How you decided, like when you started writing, how you kind of came up with that, and yeah, just the whole process.
Yep.
Well, like the both of you, I have a failed marriage. Mine was a real
Slay.
one. Yeah. And then he left me at the start of 2021. And that was kind of like COVID. So we're all very isolated. And, you just don't know how to process something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as men, maybe we don't turn to our friends. Well, my family were overseas. So we kind of just hold it all in. So writing was just my way of dealing with it. So
Coping
it
with it, yeah,
started
yeah.
like a diary.
Yeah.
And then I was just writing more and more. Then I like tried to convince myself it was fine. The marriage ended by sleeping with random people off Grindr, which is a gay app for anyone who doesn't know. And then sex is quite instant on there.
It's so intense. I went on it for the first time and I was like, wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Wait,
it's
is it
a
for
lot.
girls as well?
No, I was my
Oh,
friends.
okay.
Have you ever seen Grindr?
No, I haven't.
So like
I've
you'd
heard of
open it and
Yeah,
it would
it's
say like
hectic.
someone is 5 meters away, 20 meters away,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
how it works. The grid is who's closest to
Yeah.
you. So if you're in an apartment building, there might be someone 2 floors below.
And it's just like a hookup, a quick little...
Yeah, so you might be like, hey, and then the line is what you into,
Yeah.
which is the book
That's the
title.
book, yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's actually one of
Yeah,
I would say
it's-
one of the best covers I've seen in a book in a while.
Thank you.
I have such an appreciation for
Wow.
book covers, and like
Yep.
that was just like brilliant.
So yeah, then I was so the marriage ended. I started hooking up with people to convince myself I'm over him. Obviously I wasn't, so then I hook up with more people and more people, and then before I know it, we're in the hundreds. And then I just got sadder and sadder with each one.
Yeah.
And then I kept writing.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
it became a
positive
book.
is you got a book out of it.
Yeah, great.
Hey, a book, a podcast.
Yeah, I'm a busy boy.
Yeah. No, you seem really happy now.
Still single though,
But you're happy single, right?
no.
Oh,
Still
okay.
looking. But we
Slide
can't have
into his
everything
DMs,
covered.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's end on a bit of a quick fire. We've got some questions, and then we'll just go through it. You want to start?
Yes.
Selina?
Who do you think from this season is the biggest clout chaser?
Ooh. Oh, quick fire. I'm trying to think who I can't offend. I would say anyone who's currently on Cameo.
Period.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
not pay me any amount of money to do that shit.
Same.
There's stuff I won't do, and it's Cameo,
Yep.
boxing matches, club appearances. You won't
But
catch
I'm
me doing
all
it.
for like people of this show making money, but I just think it's
Yeah.
weird
Nah.
that you're an everyday
Do it for
person.
free. I do it
and
for
then,
free.
Yeah, the next
Yeah.
day it's like $100 for me to say happy birthday
No.
to you.
No.
Like people
So
DM,
crazy.
like if you want a cameo from me, DM me and I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
That's like a joke.
You're
Come
going to
on.
regret saying that.
Yeah, okay. Maybe don't. I'll analyze them. Okay, next one is who do you think is being the most genuine?
Oh, probably Jamie, eh?
Yeah. Okay.
I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's a very universal experience that's seen on TV, and I like it's such an embarrassing feeling like that. But I feel like every single girl and woman has gone through that.
Or maybe
feeling.
Athena as well.
Yeah,
And I think
I'm
that's
glad
why
you
she
said
stayed
that.
this long because
Yeah.
like she
Yeah.
just wants to be loved.
I know.
And, like, she's
She
really
reminds
not
me of
getting
me,
it.
I know she
actually.
actually
Yeah.
does. She really does.
Yep. Old me, because that was like, yeah. I was so desperate for love back then. That was all I
And
ever
that's why you stayed
wanted.
longer than you probably would have.
Way
Yeah.
longer. I would have done anything to
Yeah.
make that marriage work, just to prove to myself that I was lovable.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving along.
Sounds like me on Grindr.
Relatable. Who do you think is the most fucked over by their edit this year?
I feel like the ones who have been fucked over, it's kind of justified. I'd probably say Elliot because he's kind of gone full circle.
Dang.
But I do find him entertaining now. Like his TikTok, you see that side of him,
Yes.
Yeah.
which was not apparent
Didn't
at the
see that at all.
start.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. Who do you think will end up with the most followers?
Jamie,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially once the UK get behind her.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the
true.
difference between like average influencer following and like next
Yes.
level.
Well, I like
Yep.
her because I feel like she speaks to a lot of everyday average girl. Not that I hope that doesn't sound bad, but I think it's really like relatable in a sense, and it doesn't have this like glossy
Yeah.
kind of feel to it. She seems very just like one of like the girls that I hang out with.
You know
Yeah. I
what
think
pissed me
that's-
off about Jamie? Well, not Jamie. What pissed me off, a comment I read was she's often got no makeup on. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
she's
that's
had
what-
like
that's what I
an
love about it.
outbreak of acne.
Yes.
Bro.
And I saw a comment like, "Oh, we should cover that up," and it's like, why?
Exactly.
Like she's just a normal girl. We all get
exactly.
spots.
And like the stress you go through, I was
Yes.
like, babe, and
get
I
it.
sort of progressively get worse.
Yes.
And I was like, I feel that. Like
Yeah.
my skin was fucked as well. And it's
Same.
just so, I was like, that's so relatable.
And
so
I appreciate the fact
relatable.
she's not like piling foundation on just to cover it.
Yes.
Like, why
And you know
should
what?
she?
Exactly.
Sis is going to get those skincare brand deals. And
yeah.
I'm going to
Yes.
be waiting for what brand is snaps that
Same.
up, honestly.
She had a pimple patch on last night. I'm like, yes, slay
Yeah.
queen.
honestly. I love that.
Now, we know now, well, if you've seen any leaked articles,
Which-
that Clint and Jackie are now together. Do you think if they were originally matched on the show that they would still be together?
Probably not.
Oh,
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, I feel like Jackie is quite fond of crying.
Oh, yeah.
So like maybe if it was just a happy thing from the start, then do you know what I mean? Like she wouldn't really have been able to showcase her range as a performer.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fair.
okay.
It's very puzzling that, like,
But what I find fascinating about
Switch on
those
and
two
off.
is how I think this is spoiler alert or whatever, but it was within I think 2.5 weeks of leaving the show, breaking up with Ryan, and then she's suddenly in Tassie with Clint.
living with him in his house.
Yeah, and then I read a comment Clint said in an interview, I don't know where, and he says, well, this is no different to people being matched on the show. So that's why she just moved in straight away.
Yeah, it is.
Like they're doing their own social experiment.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes like you do, which I guess is potentially why they've introduced this like task this week, is the whole some seasons people have got together that weren't originally matched together, and people would argue that they're more suited. So I think maybe that was like their thought process. I don't
But
know.
that also makes me laugh how Channel 9 are now pushing Evelyn and Duncan out like the show's biggest
yes.
success story. You did not make that. Like
Legit.
Yeah.
they did that, and Channel 9 are trying to own it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have to use those two for this 9 Now spin-off,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of embarrassing for MAFS
Yep.
because they don't actually have any of their own couples.
Yep. Yep. So true. This whole
Yes.
Snaffle, Westpac and everything.
I'm
as
still not
well.
sure what Snaffle is. I'm seeing it
Yeah, what is
4 times a
Snaffle?
day.
Yeah.
Stop.
We should beep that out. Let's not give them any
So
promotion.
let's just beep that.
that
Let's beep
out.
that out. Everyone know what we're talking about.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on, Josh.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
And for everyone who wants to look at Josh's content, it's MAFS Funny. And then, yeah, the Spotify and everything.
Yeah,
to listen
it's everywhere.
To it as well.
Everywhere.
It's
The Nova
everywhere.
Player.
Nova
Yes,
Player. Yep. Slay. And then obviously you can follow Josh on socials as well.
And your book.
Yeah, that's in like Big W,
Yeah.
Dixon shops, the airport.
Amazon.
Yes. Love it. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
Woo, woo.
Reality.